So the scenario where we need to use this is basically where our top foot can't pummel, our hips are turned inwards facing the guard passer, and our bottom leg is cleared. Okay, so this is quite a bad scenario essentially. So I'm not able to pummel my top foot over or underneath. The most I could get is maybe a low, like a knee shield underneath the armpit. But I still can't recover my guard from here without inverting because he's cleared my top knee. So all I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to plant my bottom foot onto the floor, keeping my top knee tight to my chest and my knee flared out. What I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to take my upper body towards my foot as I start to come up onto my shoulder. From here, I'm spinning all the way through, aiming to take my head towards my bottom foot. And squaring up. One more time. So my hips are facing the guard passer. I can't pummel my top foot back inside, and he's completely cleared my bottom foot. Maybe he's like almost knee on belly here. Common mistakes you'll see with the bottom leg invert. First one is people not tucking their head. So they're kind of trying to invert while they're extended through their spine. You always need to tuck your head so that you can take your head towards your bottom foot. Second mistake is not maintaining the top knee connected to your chest, to your top shoulder, sorry. So if I simply try to disconnect my top knee from my chest, basically doing like a pendulum motion, as I spin through, I'm basically going to end up in a north-south pass. So the whole purpose of this top knee staying glued to your chest is so that you keep this your torso covered. Okay, you keep your torso defended so that your opponent can't pummel in for a north-south pass and complete the guard pass. So I stay tight with my top knee, and then I start to push off my bottom leg, and I crunch my head towards my foot, making sure my upper spine isn't extended. Another common mistake that you'll see a lot of people do with this bottom leg invert is as they're spinning through, they lose connection with this top shin and the guard passer's ribs. So their leg comes off, and now when they try and spin all the way back through, they're not actually squaring up with their opponent. So it's really important that if you do happen to make this like knee shield or hook on the guy's ribs, that when you spin through, you use this hook kind of like as a reference point to where you should end up facing after your roll. Obviously, if your opponent is C-gripping your shin, like so, you're not going to be able to connect your shin to his ribs, but simply just making sure that you're kind of pushing back into your opponent's grip should help you square back up. Another common mistake you'll see people do is essentially allowing the crossface. Okay, so this can also relate back to people not tucking their head and staying extended. So if I start to extend and I'm slow in the invert, even though I'm being bullfighted, I'm now going to be getting crossfaced from this spot. So when I start to initiate this invert, I have to start to tuck my head to prevent the crossface, and also so that I can start to invert. I can't be crossfaced here when I'm mid-invert. Another common mistake is confusing the frames. So as we've mentioned earlier, we want to be framing on the outside of the knee and the near arm framing the near shoulder. But with this particular scenario here, our bottom leg is actually completely cleared. And we're actually starting to turn into our opponent almost like we're almost basically turning belly down for this kind of inversion. So if I frame like this, I actually make it a lot harder for myself to invert. It's also a lot harder to invert with the bottom arm outstretched. When we invert to a particular side, we will tuck the bottom arm inwards so that we can actually invert through. You can see here, if I'm framing and I try to invert, I actually make it a lot worse for myself. If I frame with this arm here, this cross post, now I can steal all the way through because I'm able to tuck my bottom arm underneath my body. Quick summary of the bottom leg inversion. So the situation arises when I can't